about you, but I am sick of hustle culture constantly consuming information, overwhelm, burnout, and feeling like everything I create needs to be perfect and fit into this game and system that as creatives we have to fit into. I think what we're really all wanting is to make things that actually matter, that make people feel something, that helps somebody, that's not necessarily just optimized for the maximum amount of views possible, but instead for the maximum amount of impact and reaching real people, helping real people, talking to real people. Because right now, with all of the AI slop and completely different era that we're living in with social media that's not social anymore, it's all based on interest, and just the state of our society as a whole being so disconnected but having more information at our fingertips than ever before. It just seems like everyone is kind of pushing this hustle culture that eventually leads to burnout. It just seems like everything you're hearing is, post consistently, post 3 days a week, post every day, post on all the platforms, do all of the things, be everywhere, be seen all of the time, gotta be visible, you gotta stay on what's trending. You got to know what's going on and be up to date on everything. And that just can end up being so exhausting. And yes, there is, some truth to all this. I'm not saying that we can't play the creator game of YouTube or of the platform to try to monetize and make money and make a living. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that step beyond that, where you're hitting absolute crash and burn because of trying to attain and do everything all at one time. I eventually flew off the edge of that cliff, and I'm trying to figure out how to recover from that, which I'm bringing you guys along for the journey on this channel of just talking about life and rebuilding after burnout and finding a more sustainable path forward. And I think what that actually looks like is us creating like humans again, creating content for people that are going to watch it, not creating for computers and for AI and for an algorithm that's mystical, creating for actual humans by actual humans, and going back to that connection of imperfect, real, online, as best as we can, connection and community with others, inspiring other people, encouraging other people, using your knowledge, skills, and creativity that God has given you to help somebody else, to invest in somebody else, sharing your journey, being vulnerable. Like I'm created this entire channel to share how I got diagnosed with autism at 26, how I'm dealing with that, how I'm navigating being a burnout creative and rebuilding. I'm going through a huge transition in my life, changing seasons, changing what God had been calling me to do, and He's shifting me into something new. We need that kind of internet right now, the slower paced, real human connection. And me going through burnout was the catalyst for this entire new journey and season of life. Because before I hit burnout, I based everything off of like productivity and like how much I'm actually getting done. Like I feel accomplished based on all of the things that I'm doing and how much I did in my big list that I checked off. But hitting burnout and basically flying off a cliff of bad mental health and really bad place in general made me actually ask myself some questions of like, wait a minute, like, am I actually healthy right now? Which I'm not. I'm dealing with like lots of health issues caused from the stress and burnout and all of the things. But is this a healthy lifestyle? Is this much productivity and pushing and trying to be consistent and overly, going above and beyond on every single thing, overproducing? Is that even a healthy way to continue doing creative life? And it's also like, am I even enjoying this anymore? And I think that is such a huge part of all of this for me, is like I was starting to lose the joy of creating and just actually sharing and creating from that joyful, healthy, creative place, which is what burnout does. And so I think that's what this whole movement that I'm hoping this channel starts, is that anti-hustle is not anti-effort. Don't do anything difficult, never work, never try responsibilities, never, maintain consistency in your life. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a healthy pace where you enjoy what you're doing. You can actually have time for faith and community and life and being in the moment in your life while still moving forward, being productive, and accomplishing a purpose that's driving you forward. There's this whole thing of being on social media makes everything feel urgent. And I experienced this personally. And I'm actually off of Facebook and Instagram right now because personally, I needed to take a break and take a step back. And honestly, I'm enjoying it so much. I don't know if I will ever get back on Facebook and Instagram, because it made every single thought all day feel anxious and urgent and like just that overwhelming. Okay, I know all of this stuff, but I've got to check it. I've got to scroll it. I feel the impulse to pick up my phone. That's like the first app I would want to click on. And it's really, I don't really need to know any of that stuff. Like, sure, I miss being able to like, oh, I wonder what so-and-so's doing, or I wonder what's, going on with this, or when this product releases, since everyone puts that on social nowadays instead of websites and blogs and things like that. But honestly, I'm getting all my information and news that I need. I have YouTube for kind of the longer form, slower paced, so that I can consume like a normal person. And it's been amazing to just drop that social media, internet world. And it's not that like, oh, social media is evil. It's that it was literally draining all of the attention, energy, like emotional capacity, mental capacity during my day. And another thing that I'm really attempting to learn after burnout, moving into this direction of healthy human creating with purpose and impact, is that rest is not always just a bad thing. Rest is not this horrible, feel guilty about it. And that's how it was for a long time. Like, you have to earn rest. You got to work really hard, then you can rest. You got to work, and then you can take a vacation, but be stressed out the whole time because you're not working. There's all this stuff that's not getting done. Rest is a normal, natural part of our lives and should be incorporated into creative lives, especially because that creative mental capacity and energy that we're using is exhausting. And so we need times to be able to rest and recharge. And I'm trying to learn to give myself grace to actually do that as a normal part of my life. And even the Bible is very clear about rest. I mean, the Lord rested. He created the Sabbath, and he created seasons, which is just been such a big thing that's been ministering to me during this current season, is seasons and how God uses this. The Bible says there's a time and season for everything. There's a time, to plant. There's a time to reap. There's a time to wait. And this is what's so cool, is like every single season is not a season of work, because there is a season in between planting and reaping, and that season is waiting and tending. You're out there just waiting for the plants to grow so that you can harvest them. You're literally just kind of watering them, watching them, kind of protecting them, but not a whole lot going on during that season. So it's super important that I'm talking to me, Lexi, needs to be able to rest and not feel guilty about it. Because rest is the only way that we're going to stay at a healthy place. And being healthy is not selfish. You are creating boundaries within your life, within your process, so that you can remain healthy mentally, emotionally, spiritually, creatively. You need to be in a healthy place. Otherwise, you won't be creating from a place of joy or help. And everything will kind of have that underlying unhealthy tension. And you definitely don't want to put that into your creative work, because that will transfer to other people. You don't want to be transferring anything that's toxic or not healthy, or that's negative, or that underlying disease almost that could come through in your content, because you're not making sure you're creating from a healthy place. And creating those boundaries where you can stay healthy, learning that N-O word. I know we don't talk about that one, but that doesn't mean that you're just the most selfish person ever and all you care about is yourself. And it doesn't even mean, oh, you never do anything hard because you're protecting yourself, or you never actually take responsibility and action because you're sheltering and have boundaries. That is not what it means at all. You can do difficult things, you can push when you need to, but having those literally just means that if you push beyond certain limits in your life, it will affect your health, your relationships, your spiritual life, your faith, and eventually it will really impact those around you. So it's being self-aware enough to know when to rest, when to have boundaries, when to say the N-O word, so that you can manage a healthy balance of stress, work, life, and rest in your life. Because it's really important that you stay healthy so that you can actually keep loving and serving people and not becoming bitter and resentful of people because you're not in a healthy place. And that will automatically lead to that burnout and unhealthy place that you will reach will lead to you ultimately not being as effective and loving and serving towards people. And leave a comment right now during this video. I'm sure all of us have experienced, we can all raise our hand. You can give me your story down in the comments. that we have all reached that place where creating is so hard and difficult and becomes kind of from an unhealthy place, and we know it. And that's totally normal. Those are the seasons and cycles that we go through as human beings. But you know what I'm talking about when you get to that point where it's really starting to affect how you're serving others, and you can tell you get really focused on yourself and me, and it's all about me and my problems and what I'm going through, and it's not working for me anymore, because I have been there very recently. And the way to overcome that is to lift your eyes back up again to people and serving other people, because that will in turn actually minister and serve you. You will find fulfillment by serving others, but you can't do that from an unhealthy place for a long period of time. Yes, there are certain times when you are not where you need to be, but you keep serving and keep pushing. There are absolutely those times in our lives. I'm talking about from a long-term point of view. You can't do that sustainably. You can't create from empty all the time. And that's why it's so important. This leads into my next point, is that we really need to celebrate small wins. And I've heard people talk about this for forever. It's all in the self-help stuff, like, ooh, celebrate small wins. It's kind of along the lines of like 1% better every day, and you celebrate that. And I always kind of thought, yeah, that's good. But as someone that really, really struggles to celebrate things, because I focus on the things that could have went better, that went wrong, that I could have done that better every single time. I have that mentality of excellence and always pushing, and I'm extremely hard on myself. So this is something I'm learning coming from a season of burnout. I have to figure out a way to start celebrating the small wins. And it even was like kind of made more clear to me. I stumbled across a note that I had made in my phone from 2020 of goals that I wanted to accomplish for that year. And 6 years later from when I'm filming this, I'm just now accomplishing one of those goals from 2020. I had not even thought about it. It was just one of those New Year's things where you make goals at the beginning of the year, and I forgot all about them. When I stumbled upon this note, I was like, you know what? I'm going to celebrate the fact that I am now accomplishing a goal, even though it's 6 years later, that I made in 2020. And I'm trying to find different ways throughout the day, throughout the week, to be like, hey, what have we accomplished that's a small win this week? And be like, let's go. Like, we did that. We're doing that. Even if it's the smallest things, figure out a way to kind of track that. I have a little habit tracker app where I like to keep up with different habits and different things that I'm doing. Some of them are so, like, to the random person, so dumb and trivial. But for me, I love being able to track and have streaks of I've done this for this many days. Even small things like making sure your laundry's put up before you go to bed and it's not like sitting on your chair or on your bed. That's not a small thing. That is a small win that is a big win, because that's what gives you forward momentum and progress to get to a healthier place, to be able to crawl out of burnout, out of depression, out of anxiety, out of the hitting rock bottom of life that we all go through at different times. If you start celebrating things that you are doing right, that you are doing well, you will be on your way up. And especially if you're someone like me that has chronic illness, autism, mental struggles, I have more bad days than I have good days most of the time. So there needs to be a way, and if you relate to that, I have so much empathy for you, because it is very hard when you have chronic health issues and different things that keep you down a lot. You have to start figuring out ways to celebrate small wins and also to celebrate good days. You need to start creating like a good day archive where when it's a good day, it was a good day, let's go. And that's why I want this channel, Lex Life, to be a place where we're building a community and a movement around not treating ourselves like we're just a machine that creates content, where rest is not selfish, where small wins really matter, health is not selfish, purpose is not only measured in views, but it's measured in people that were actually impacted or helped, and where we allow the seasons to actually change and us to change with those seasons, because God has different ways that He wants to use us at different seasons in our lives. And it's about really learning to create again from a place of joy and enjoying the process. Less hustle, more human. So let me know in the comments down below, what would creating like an actual human look like in your workflow right now? What are some things that you could celebrate that were small wins from this week? And what's one thing that you feel like is changing during your season of transition right now? And if you've resonated with something in this video, go ahead and just click that subscribe button so that you can be a part of this community, not miss any of the videos, and follow along on this journey as we become human creators.